Dream Theater reuniting with Mike Portnoy and releasing new music is something I never had on my life's bingo card. I'm going to hear this new single released today called Night Terror. Oh, I'm so antsy. Let's get to it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Low End University. I've kind of been holding my breath to make a video on new Dream Theater music. I had no idea it would involve Mike Portnoy. This is a huge day for me. I consider myself one of the world's biggest Dream Theater fans. I've been very vocal about that in my entire music career and here on the channel. But I'm going to save all the superlatives and platitudes for later. I'm going to approach this like any other piece of music that I do on the channel. I hear it for the first time, I analyze it and give you my thoughts. So this is kind of weird. My favorite band of all time with a song I haven't heard before. Let's get right into it. This is Night Terror from Dream Theater's upcoming 16th album, Parasomnia, which releases on February 7th, 2025. I've got my tickets for the tour. You should too. They put on a great show. Let's get right into it. Night Terror, my first time hearing it. Let's go. Very quickly before I press play, I'm only doing the audio version. They have a new music video out today. I want all of you to go storm it and watch it. I don't want to take anything away from the band's campaign with that. I rarely do these like jump on a new song kind of things. I never want to take away from a band's momentum. I only want to add to it if I can. But I have to make an exception for a band I love so much. So this will be the audio only version. The music video is linked in the description. After you get through this episode, please go watch it if you haven't already. Let's get to it. Here's Night Terror. I forgot to turn these on. This is what was in those teasers they've been teasing. Mike! I've got to keep a straight face. Sludgy. I've got to stop this like all other videos. This is a copyright thing, and I just don't want to, again, detract from anyone's experience hearing the song other than the band's official channels. Classic Dream Theater so far. I can already tell the drum production is different. It sounds like Mike. Listen, I love Mike Mangini. I was very happy for him to be in the band. I was very excited. He played some killer stuff. I really respect him as a drummer, but it just wasn't the lineup I came to love. And Mike's drum production has such a signature sound. I mean, you can hear it plain as day. I feel like Mike has that thing going for him on any album he's played on. It sounds like him. I've never really known what it was, but I want to hear that drum fill again. It just made me smile. I don't know what it is. It just sounds like Mike. Okay. Petrucci doing the same kind of Alex Lifeson playbook thing, ringing out the top strings, changing the root notes. Very Petrucci already. This is a long one too, 10 minutes. They're setting it up. Hell yeah. Okay. Hear that riff one more time. You can hear the bass. Some Dream Theater albums, I'm like, man, I just wanted to hear My Young more. I can hear him in there. He's mixed about at the same level he usually is. It's kind of in unison here on this. Almost sounded kind of like an E. Lydian riff. We kind of started out That flat 5 kind of thing. Something in there. I'm not going to try to figure it out too much, but Myung's doing it in unison. A lot of chromaticism in that. Production sounds very good. Okay. Already, I like the vocal production better. I feel like the last couple albums, his vocals were very wet and very saturated. They sound a bit more pure and raw here. And I'm sure he's writing more within his range now. We've kind of noticed that trend over the last few albums, but I've always had a ton of respect for James as a singer. I mean, he's one of the first powerhouse vocalists in rock music I really latched onto. You know, Images and Words. You guys know the history of the band. So I'm going to be listening for that and see where it goes. That's a booger of a riff. There's a lot of chromaticism, bit atonal, bit diminished. They're kind of changing it up. It's very tough to figure out a Dream Theater riff on the first listen. Ooh, can hear that Myung. He's got some grit on the tone. A slide, kind of simplifying here. Nice. Up a whole step. Jordan, okay. Major 5 back to E minor. Cool, couple of cool music theory things there. We've been kind of in E minor, went up a whole step. Dream Theater have that tendency a lot. I've always thought it's a pattern they have over their albums. I don't want to say it's predictable, but they really owned that thing where they just move a riff up a whole step. It just pushes a lot of energy to their already dense compositions. We had an F sharp, and the chorus kind of went down in C. So I don't know if that was a total key change or just back to the original. Went through a few motions, landed on that major 5, back to the E minor. So I want to hear that chorus again. Had a really nice progression to it. Back to the intro riff. I was going to say, too, the Jordan sound here is a bit more like the classic kind of sound you might have heard on Scenes from a Memory, 6 Degrees, Train of Thought era. That's how it sounds to me. Okay, so I don't know if that's... They're still in E minor going down to the C, D, so that'd be the 6, 7, 1. Then they actually do the minor 5. You guys always hear me talk about major 5s in videos and why they add tension and why they add push to chord progressions, but they actually went up to just the B minor, which is the actual natural minor. And then they go to the major 5 later to kind of push it back into E minor. So that's a really cool thing here. One more time. Right here. Up a tritone. Major 5. Cool. Smooth. Back to this riff. Okay. Right there, just the little ear candy splash cymbal things. That's just what I miss about Mike. The drumming is so musical. He finds any space to tastefully put in those little drum isms, Portnoy isms. If you are a fan of the band, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can hear it right there. Love it. Okay, he's flipping the beat. Was that 7? Drifting through sleep transitions. Borderland state, swimming through waves. I'm gonna get in the weeds if I start the counting, but it sounded like it was in 7, and you kind of flip the beat around. Almost reminds me of like the Honor Thy Father intro, where you think it's on the downbeat, it comes in, it really was the upbeat the whole time. They've always been so smooth at that. I think Mike is just one of the best at that, thinking back to their prior albums. Making odd time signatures groove. Things will be in odd time signatures and you didn't even know it was until you maybe looked at the tabs or you looked at the sheet music or anything, but just not the music itself. It sounded so smooth. Up the whole step. You'll hear an E. Okay. They went somewhere musically, tonally. Really smooth. Down to the F. Now we're in C major? A minor? That was just a really smooth, I don't know if that was kind of like a common tone thing, but we got from that E minor sound into a C major sound, I believe, if we're going F, G, A minor. Those, the key of C and the key of G, which is the relative major of E minor, share a lot of the same notes. So you can kind of bounce on those common tones and almost trick the listener that you've stayed in the same key, but you really haven't. And just gives a different color to a different progression. Okay, we're going somewhere here about halfway through. Man, it doesn't feel like it's been 5 minutes. Right there. Getting a little atonal here. Ooh, there's a lot going on there. Instrumental section. I'm gonna just let it go. Hammond vibes, okay? Fat bass drum and bass and drum triplet there. You can hear Myung's tone popping out a bit. That was... Woo! Very nice. They're all over the place. Oh, I just want to hear that drum part again. It's such a Mike Portnoy part. I've missed this stuff. All the drumming here. Yes. This part. Yes. Okay, before we jump into that, I always thought Portnoy would do things and put fills in there that on the very first listen, you're kind of like, that's really outside of the box. It's really not latching on to anything. It's really stepping out of the composition and just throwing a different feel at you. I remember the first time hearing his parts. I think the second time I heard him, I was like, I see what he's doing. That's just his musical voice. And he's injecting a bit of that here. And there's just so many favorite moments across the discography like that. Like the fills in The Great Debate, The Glass Prison, Strange Deja Vu. There's just tons of them where he just jumps out and kind of abandons the feel of the composition and just puts something that's pure ear candy, but never long enough or too weird enough to make you lose the feel. Think like the outro of Finally Free. I feel like Mangini's version of that was trying to be complicated, but staying really within the box of the composition. And I think the fans just felt that difference. And I wouldn't say either or right or wrong objectively with music, but that's just what I've missed about Portnoy. If I'm just going to talk about his drumming and what I'm hearing so far, I mean, this little thing here, just putting in all those quarter note triplets, going over the bar line, just really kind of taking you somewhere just in kind of a dedicated drum fill. Okay, we're entering this shreddy part. Let's see. Hear it again. You can hear Myung obviously not shredding along with Petrucci, but he's holding some sort of root note at a slower rhythm just to build with the band. Everybody's going up higher. That was kind of a weird... Some kind of like... I don't know what that was. Love the octobans. Oh, yes. Very nice. My favorite thing about this guitar solo, I never expect less from Petrucci than just pushing the abilities of the guitar as he always has. That's very evident what we just heard. I like that they didn't put a rhythm guitar track behind it. And on older Dream Theater records, I feel like Petrucci was kind of always doubling a rhythm part under it. And then there was a period where he felt like he didn't do that a few times on recent records, but on the earlier albums when Mike was playing, I felt like that was always a thing. And I think one of the most discernible, noticeable differences of that is when he put out his solo album, Terminal Velocity. Same thing, Dave LaRue would just be holding down a bass groove, the composition would kind of open up, and you would honestly get to hear more of the character of Petrucci's soloing because you didn't have it kind of clashing sonically with the rhythm guitar. It allows more room for the bass. You kind of get that airiness, that break you need in the production. I like that he didn't add a doubled rhythm track with Mayung's bass part. I want to hear it one more time. It's one of the better times I can hear Mayung as well. Let's see, where was I? See, it's a vibe, right? It's a hairy riff, I don't know. It's very atonal, I think. It's very hard to pick out. Very strong 7. 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. Very nice. This is very Dream Theater sound right here. Okay. That's cool. They used the chord progression from, I think, the second time they did the chorus, where I was talking about it smoothly kind of modulating to F, G, and A. The first time it was... and then then they did the chorus again out of the intro riff into the new kind of tonal center. I think it's C minor, back in A minor. So what they did here is they brought back the new chorus chord progression, did a double chorus into the old one. That's just slick. I don't know what else to call it. I was trying to figure out where they were going to go with it. I want to hear it again. Yeah. Up a tritone. Sit on that major 5 now, which really resolves back to A minor. Then they bring it to C, which is the first one. It's a lot. It's really cool. That's the first chorus. Up the tritone. That's really cool. Taking it out the way they brought it in a bit. Double time, Portnoy. Love that. 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1. Wow. Well, there it is. The first music with Portnoy reunited with Dream Theater. And as tough as it was to contain my inner excitement, with as much context as I have with the band. Really wanted to keep this objective about the music, so let's talk about my initial impressions of the song. Very good. I think it's in typical Dream Theater fashion. If I think back to the last several albums where their first song is more of the radio friendly, there's an actual radio edit I'm seeing on YouTube. Just a more digestible snapshot of the album. If you think back to Untethered Angel, The Enemy Inside, all the way back to Systematic Chaos with Constant Motion. Then we had A Rite of Passage, which was the most basic song on all of Black Clouds and Silver Linings. But they all were very cut from the same cloth stylistically of what the album was going to be. And I think in this single, there were so many ingredients kind of shown to you that are bound to be expanded on in the record. I see some track links on this album. There's a 19-minute and 30-second something epic closer in Dream Theater fashion. Very intrigued by the album theme, parasomnia, sleep paralysis, and all this type of stuff. I imagine their live production will really lend itself to this, or I should say the album theme will really lend itself to a type of stage production. I'm very curious to see what they do with it. But that's a song. It had all the ingredients I like about the band. I think I'm just very giddy hearing Mike's more signature drum sound kind of proliferate the song. Vocals were good. I kind of like the production better. It felt a bit more like a rawer version of James. Rawer. I say that every time. More raw version, just production-wise. I can kind of hear the sibilance and enunciation better. Guitar and bass tones were great. Middle instrumental section was wild, but I think one of my two favorite things about the song were that they didn't double the riff for the guitar solo. It just had a nice dimension to the piece there about 3/4 of the way through, where I could hear the bass, you could hear the drums, and you can hear more of the character of Petrucci's solo. And then the whole way they tied the song up with the version of the chord progression from chorus 2 to chorus 1, but then they made them together in the same sentence. That's the typical smooth, genius songwriting that I've always come to love from Dream Theater. And I can't say enough about how much they influenced me as a band. They were a music teacher for me. I learned about this stuff, modulating and out-of-key chords. I mean, they showed me that kind of stuff first in rock music. And I could go on and make this video longer, but that's my impression. This was a heck of a first single. And like all of the other albums, the singles later weren't my favorite songs on the album. It's what was later released on the album. So if you're a Dream Theater fan, you're still here, go pre-order the album. I'm about to go watch the music video and listen to the song with no breaks. I want to hear it again. You should too. It's linked in the description. February 7th, 2025 is when Parasomnia releases. I've got my tickets for the tour. I'm pumped. And if you're seeing them in Europe in a couple weeks, I'm very jealous of you. But thank you guys for hanging out with me today. This was a fun occasion. If you'd like to support this channel further, come find us on Patreon. I do full album reactions there. I have tons of bass lessons and such. And if you enjoyed this, please like the video and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. I'm almost at 100,000 subscribers. It's pretty wild. You should help me get there. But I'm excited to see more songs released from the band. I'm sure I will cover them on the channel, but I have a lot to look forward to as a Dream Theater fan, and you do too. Thanks for hanging out. I love you all. We'll see you next time.